What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into another episode of My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Sleaze. Today's episode, we're going to be covering 10 sleeper players, all positions, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, that if you need this week with all the crazy injuries that are happening in fantasy football, that you can throw into your lineups based on the matchup and statistics I'm going to give you as flex plays. Remember, guys, don't throw these guys in over starters or superstar names. I know it draws questions when you see a video like this. Don't do that. These are deep dart throws if you need this week, deeper league plays, or if you're injured again. So before we dive into it, guys, make sure you tap that thumbs up, hit that subscription button, turn that bell on. I'll be live today, drafting 6 p.m. Eastern on drafters.com. Shout out to the sponsor. If you guys haven't signed up on Drafters, make sure you use promo code SLEAZE. It will double your initial deposit up to $100. Also, guys, pinned in the comments and the description of the video will be the Guys FF Discord, where me and Big Draft Energy cover everything fantasy football for you guys off stream all the time. Anything you guys need, any questions, everything like that. And if you guys have questions in the video, drop them down below. I try to answer every single one of them. You know, between Twitter and YouTube, it's been absolutely mayhem. And I can't thank you guys enough for all the support, man. Let's take a look at some sleeper plays here. And don't worry about the pickleball shot that went straight to the freaking nose this morning. Let's dive into it, guys. Starting off with number one, it is going to be Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, and they might even be having reinforcements come back for Bryce Young this week. Jalen Coker was activated off IR. We haven't seen if he's going to be back out there yet, but there's a possibility. Xavier Legette came back last week. Ted McMillan is my smash play wide receiver. And you might get Jatavion Sanders back, who practiced in full this week as well. So they could be at full force versus the Dallas Cowboys in a possible 100% shootout game, because we know the Cowboys defense can't stop anything, guys. The Cowboys defense ranks 32nd overall versus the quarterback. 27.1 points they give up. That is dead last. The Baltimore Ravens are behind them at 24. That is how bad this Cowboy defense is. 1,520 yards through 5 games. Think about that right now. Think about that mathematically. That's about 320 pass yards a game they allow. This is going to be a light 'em up game for Bryce Young. They've also given up 12 touchdowns. 12. That's second worst behind the Baltimore Ravens with 13. Now you got to look at his stats here. Pass attempts 174. That's number 6. They're passing heavy. You also got Rico Dowdle in his revenge game this week. Completions 106, 951 passing yards. Completion percentage, you like to see that come up to like 65, 70. He's at 60.9. That's number 28. 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. Rushing the ball a little bit here and there. You'd like to see more rushing yards from him. I'd like to see him use his legs more. He only has 54 yards rushing. 1 rushing touchdown. Deep balls needs to come up. He's only thrown 8 deep balls. That's not enough. You need to find, they haven't had that field stretcher. They got Jimmy Horn out there last week. They need that Jalen Coker speedster guy to get out there. QBR needs to come up. 41.3, number 27. 67.4, he's quarterback 23. Now, the Panthers have won 2 out of the 3 games. Just beat the Falcons the week before, lost to the Patriots. Then they got their dub against Miami in the comeback game. They're getting a little momentum. That's what you want. Bryce Young is that mental quarterback that when he starts losing, it just goes bad, as you saw by the beginning of the season with the first 2 games. Now you get the Dallas Cowboys. Bryce Young, if you need a quarterback play and he's even on your waiver wire, he is going to drop 20-plus points against the Dallas Cowboys, guaranteeing it. One of my favorite sleeper plays this week. Sleeper play number 2, quarterback number 2 is going to be the Oregon rookie Dillon Gabriel of the Cleveland Browns. Now, last week, guys, against Minnesota, who is number 1 versus the quarterback, Minnesota, before playing him, was only giving up 9 points to a quarterback a game, which has now come up to 12. That's how good that defense is. And Dillon Gabriel dropped 20 points on them. 19 completions, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, even was on the ground with 2 attempts for 5 yards on the ground. And he rushed for 1,000+ yards in his college career at Oregon. So he can run. And you do have David Njoku and Fan in the security blankets with Jerry Jeudy, with Isaiah Bond out there, Cedric Tillman on IR. This is going to be another sleeper play this week. You're going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, where do they struggle? Versus the quarterback, versus the wide receiver, versus the tight end. This is going to be a very, very surplus matchup for him here. And you have to look at the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Where do they rank versus the quarterback? They are currently right now, they are ranked 29th. That is 21.5 points per game. They allowed 1,131 yards and 5 touchdowns. And remember, they've been on a bye. So minus a game out of that, that's about 240 yards passing they're giving up alone. They've also given up 105 rush yards, which is 25 rush yards a game and 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground. So that's almost 2 touchdowns a game to the quarterback, almost about 260 plus 270 yards on the ground. Dylan Gabriel is going to be another nice play coming off a monster performance against Minnesota in his very first NFL start. He's going to get more in tune with the offense. He's going to get more in tune with his receivers. Obviously, I mentioned the security blankets and Njoku and Fannin, who Njoku's a smash play of mine this week. You got to kind of like Dylan Gabriel if you need a quarterback play this week. Sleeper player number 3, heading over to the running backs, is going to be one of the guys you should have grabbed off the waiver wire, which is Hassan Haskins. Now, I know you're going to look at it, and me as well, is going to be like, who's it going to be, Kamani Vidal or him? You're probably looking at a 50-50 split. But if you need a flex play this week, there's a lot to look at here and a lot to like with Hassan Haskins. So obviously, when you look at his stats here, hasn't played a lot. You had, Hampton go down, Najee Harris go down. He gets an opportunity late in the game, right? So all these stats, very, very skewed and low. You are in a hardball run system. Joe Alt, their offensive line, will be back, or their offensive, anchor will be back here soon, hopefully the next week or two. But we got to look at this first. So at Michigan, right? Senior year at Michigan, what did this guy do? 1,327 yards, 20 touchdowns on the ground. This guy can get it done in the red zone, which is what I'm looking for here in this sleeper play, is for him to fall into the end zone against the Miami Dolphins run defense, which is absolutely terrible, guys. They rank 28th, giving up 27.1 points per game, 668 yards on the ground. That is last in the NFL through 5 games. That is 140 yards a game they allow on the ground. They've given up 2 rushing touchdowns and 247 yards through the air. That's 900 total yards. That's almost 200 yards a game per running back that is playing against the Miami Dolphins. Now, I know it's not going to be sexy, but he can definitely fall into the end zone here. You know the Chargers, coming off 2 losses, are going to want to pound this win at Miami, and they're going to pound Hassan Haskins in the red zone. It's not going to be tiny Kamani Vidal. So if you need a sleeper play at running back, with all the Bucky Irving, Chuba Hubbard, the injuries just keep piling up across the board in fantasy football, Hassan Haskins is someone I really like to fall into the end zone here in week 6. Number 4 sleeper player you could throw into your lineup this week is going to be Kendre Miller of the New Orleans Saints. Now, I know the matchup is terrible, so let's talk about this first, and then let's talk about why I like this as a sneaky play. So, the New England Patriots are very, very good versus the run. They are number 5 overall. They only give up 18.1 points per game to the running back position in total. They've only given up 321 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, and 174 yards total, and a touchdown through the air, which is about 500 yards total through 5 games. So they've been very, very good versus the running back, especially in the red zone as well. So the matchup, not great by any means. But what do we have to look at here? You've seen all over Twitter, probably all over your social medias, whatever you use across the board, that Alvin Kamara is a massive trade candidate. When you're 1-4, you have a 30-year-old running back in Alvin Kamara with a 2-year, very tradable contract that's not that bad of a contract at all for any team to acquire salary cap-wise. And then let's look back at last week when they beat Jackson Dart and the Giants. Somehow Jackson Dart can beat the freaking Chargers and the Eagles, but lose to the Giants. Make it make sense, or lose to the Saints. Make it make sense. Now in this game, the Saints are winning this game heavily. It's not like they're blowing them out. They're up, I believe, like 7-10 points heading into the second half, right? Kendre Miller sees 10 carries for 41 yards to Alvin Kamara's 8 for 27. They were not using their veteran star running back in a game that they had in hand, and it wasn't a blowout like garbage time, let's put in our backup players. They were playing Kendre Miller. That is a sign right there to me, if it's not written on the wall, that Alvin Kamara is on his way out of New Orleans, and they are trying to keep him healthy so that trade value stands there coming into the next couple weeks here before November 4th, which is the trade deadline. So Alvin Kamara, if you need a flex play, is probably a guy that can give you 8 to 10 points as a dart throw this week. He was very good at TCU. Injuries have just hampered his career. So when you're looking at these numbers, again, these are skewed. He's found the end zone. So, snap share 25%, he's behind Kamara. Target share 2.3. All of this is behind Alvin Kamara, right? I'm going to say that this game, he sees a 60% snap share in this game and is a flexible play this week if you need a sleeper play. Number 5, heading over to the wide receivers, is going to be Isaiah Bond of the Cleveland Browns. Now, you do have Cedric Tillman down. We talked about that. We also talked about Dylan Gabriel in this video as a sleeper play at quarterback. Why do I like Isaiah Bond as a sleeper play at wide receiver? Well, we covered that with the Pittsburgh Steelers already. They struggle versus the pass. Versus the wide receiver, they're 27th, giving up 36.3 points per game, 715 yards and 3 touchdowns. Remember, they've also had a bye. So if you average that out, that's probably 1,000 yards. That's probably 250 per game to the wide receiver. Now, what you have to look at here with Isaiah Bond, obviously he was signed way late with the court charges he had coming in. Didn't really get any work with Dylan Gabriel in the preseason, offseason, practice, whatever you want to look at there. His snap shares have gone up drastically since signing with the Browns. 28% week 1, 38% week 2, 65%, then 67%, 55% against Detroit, so he dropped down there. But what have they started to do recently that's even more enticing for a quarterback that is a rookie quarterback that likes security across the middle is the slot snaps. They've moved him into the slot where he's playing 41% of the snaps. He's played 68 through the season. Obviously, that's a low number because he's 21 years old, working into the scheme, working into the wide receiver routine as Cedric Tillman's been on IR. So when you're looking at the game, this is a dart throw game play here that's in a great matchup. And before the season started, I would have told you these Pittsburgh Steelers corners, the 3 of them are the best in the league, and they are old and just getting toasted. And Isaiah Bond is a speedster from Texas that can do that in this game. Again, this is a sleeper play. I liked matchup based where he could possibly break a big one here. Number 6, sticking with the wide receivers, is going to be Xavier Legette. We talked about Bryce Young. We talked about the Dallas Cowboys and how bad this defense is across the board. We talked about the QB numbers. Now let's talk about the wide receiver numbers that the Dallas Cowboys have. And remember, they are number 1 worst versus the quarterback. Don't worry, versus the wide receiver, they are also number 1 worst, allowing 45.3 points to the freaking wide receiver position. That is immaculate. 91 receptions, 944 yards. Second worst behind the New York Giants, and the Giants just played the Eagles, so they would be the worst in the NFL. They've given up 10 touchdowns to the wide receiver. That's 2 a game. Now, Xavier Legette back. We don't know if Jalen Coker is going to be out there or not. I talked about that with Bryce Young. That would be a nice vertical stretch addition that they would get that they need for the deep balls for Bryce Young to hit because, you could say Ted McMillan can go deep too, but he's not really that flat line, Jalen Coker type style wide receiver. But what you got to like here, besides the over-under, besides the high implied point total, besides the possible shootout game here with Dallas, because we know Dallas is going to be in shootout games for the rest of the season with their defense, is let's just look back at week 1 and week 2, right? So week 1 and week 2, I'm a volume guy. Xavier Legette before the injury in week 3, and he got injured in week 2 as well. He had 8 targets in week 2 before the injury, 7 targets before that. First game back against Miami last week, he played 80% of the snaps, did have 3 targets in that game, more of a comeback game. Got his first touchdown of the season there as well. Now, let's say Jalen Coker is not out there. This is a very, very nice flex play that's probably going to see 5 to 7 targets with touchdown upside in a shootout game. And if I like Bryce Young as a sleeper, I've got to like Xavier Legette as a sleeper as well this week. Number 7 is going to be the rookie Alec Ayamanor. Now, obviously, I like Calvin Ridley as a smash play here. You are going to have Tyjae Spears back with Tony Pollard, but the Raiders have been better versus the run than they have been in the past. And, guys, the Raiders are absolutely falling apart. Titans finally got their first win. This is going to be a 1-4 battle at Las Vegas. Maybe the team camaraderie is coming up for the Titans. They got their first win. Get Cam Ward a little amped up. And you got to look at this matchup here. The Las Vegas Raiders are 3rd worst versus the wide receiver. 40 freaking points they allowed to the wide receiver position per game. 70 receptions, 843 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Very plus matchup. Yes, I do like Calvin Ridley to smash. This is more of a dependent flex play touchdown a touchdown dependent flex play with Ayamanor. But you've got to look at his volume here as well too here. 7 targets, 6 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets. He's taking the wide receiver 2 job in Tennessee. This is going to be a guy that is out there at wide receiver 2 usage through snap share of about 75-80%, which you see right there at 76.1. So 29 targets, 14 receptions, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, wide receiver 44 on the season. Not all bad numbers for a guy that was probably not even drafted in your league. And when you get a matchup versus the Las Vegas Raiders, whose secondary is absolutely terrible, this is a flex play you can make this weekend that I like as a sleeper play. Player number 8, heading over to the tight end side. These last 3 are going to be tight end. And if you need tight ends, guys, these are spicy ones that not just sleeper plays. I actually really like these plays this week. So starting off with number 1 here is going to be Cade Otton. And we just got the news, which is not good news for Chris Godwin, out again. And it looks like it may be the same foot. We haven't really got the whole update. He has a whole metal plate in his foot and everything like that. So he's going to be out this week, and we don't know how long it is. And I think that's why like teams stayed away from him in contract wise, but not here nor there this week. So K. Dotton. Now, I know he's been the guy running wind sprints out there for 90% of the snaps the entire time, which is absolutely crazy and getting nothing done with it. But we saw a little resurgence there in week 5 against Seattle. And I know Seattle's the worst team versus the Titans, so it makes sense that he had a good week there, right? But against Atlanta, Houston, the New York Jets, he did absolutely nothing. But he played 86, 91, 92, 96, 92% of the snaps. That's what you want. That is more than tight end 1 usage. So now you get a matchup versus San Francisco 49ers, who, my Niners and Fred Warner. We've been funneling more to the tight end this year than the past 3 years because we have such young guys that we had to draft because we lost so many people because of the Super Bowl runs that fell short. I know it sucks being an Niner fan in that moment, but if you look at the tight end play against us, it's been better than it's ever been. They're getting 13.6 points per game. That's number 15. We've given up 3 touchdowns to the tight end position, which is like a season long usually for us, 227 yards. So what Saleh is doing is not just the too high set. He's covering the outside bases. Look at the wide receiver ones against us. They're very bad. Teams are living across the middle against us. Now, when you have Igbuka, who's probably going to line up all over the place against us, we're going to have to cover him. That's going to be the focal point. K. Dotton is going to have a great volume game. He's going to be the number 2 target in this game. And this is a nice tight end play that could get you 8 to 10 points in PPR with touchdown upside because for some reason we're giving up 3 touchdowns. So if you need a sleeper play, I like K. Dotton at tight end a lot this week. Number 9, and it's crazy to say, it's going to be Jake Tunges of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, what do we have with the 49ers? We are still in absolute purgatory, and we don't even know if Juan Jennings, who practiced and limited, is going to be back out there. Hopefully, we get one back, man. Ayuk still on IR. Purser looks like he's going to be out. Kittle out till next week again. And Tunges has filled in nicely, guys. He's playing 79, 69, 68, 73% of the snaps. That's low tight end 1 usage. Guys, that's more usage than Evan Ingram and Dalton Kincaid. That is what you want. You want opportunity leads to volume. Volume leads to points. So looking at his stats here, 27 targets, 19 receptions, 166 yards, 3 TDs. What? 3 TDs out of 5 games for a guy that you didn't even know coming into the season? That's what you want. Target share 15%, not bad for a backup tight end. Snap share, that's what you're looking for. Low tight, I'd say high tight end 2 numbers there at 65.4. Red zone targets number 4. He's the big body in the red zone. And you got 53.6 points. He's a top 10 tight end. And yet people still have him on their waiver wires this week. Sorry. So what we have to look at here is not only the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the defense, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers injuries are piling up massively. Even with Bucky Irving out and Chris Godwin out, defensively, they are missing a lot of key pieces as well. Now, versus the tight end, they rank 21, giving up 15 points a game. They're giving up 22 receptions for 222 yards and 4 freaking touchdowns, tied for second worst against the tight end position. There's no way you can tell me with Mac Jones back out there, giving him 11 targets last week, that connection hasn't grown enough for him to possibly get another touchdown this week and a very, very good sleeper play at tight end if you need, and he's most likely on your waiver wire. Last but not least, we had to do it, man. And this is probably, out of the 3 tight ends I gave you being the third one, the guy I probably liked the least, just because Geno Smith is playing absolutely terrible football. I mean, this guy, I haven't seen this bad of quarterback play for a $66 million contract in a long, or guaranteed contract in a long, long time. So when you're looking at Michael Mayer's stats here, obviously Brock Bowers has been out there, and he's been out as well with a concussion and was just cleared and practiced in full. So he got hurt in week 3. He's been out week 4, week 5. He's going to be back week 6 against Tennessee here. And Brock Bowers didn't practice again, and they're being really, really sketchy with the updates. And honestly, it's getting to the danger zone with Brock Bowers of, if the Raiders go 1-5, why are they even going to throw this guy out there, right? It's really, really bad. So he's been a really shaky pick here. So when you're looking at the matchup here, yeah, it's ugly. It's a 1-4 grunge battle game. Not good for either side. You get the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, they do give up 10 points to the tight end position a game. That ranks 9th, 196 yards, 1 touchdown. Not great at all by any single mean, and I do think it's an Ashton Genty smash game for the Oakland Raiders here at home. But this is a guy that if you high-end draft pick in the second round of the NFL draft, at Notre Dame, he was an absolute stud with 800-plus yards in both seasons, 16 combined touchdowns for the last 2 seasons. This guy can get it done. He could be a starting tight end on any single team. It's just he's stuck behind Brock Bowers. He's going to get a chance to shine here. And honestly, if you play Dynasty, I'll give you a little tidbit here. I go throw like a early fourth, mid fourth for him, because I think it's going to be a trade target coming up soon here with the Raiders season tanking away, and they look that bad. But if you need to throw him in there this week, this is a guy that could play 70-75% tight end one volume, give you 8 to 10 points. He was even splashing out there with Brock Bowers at the beginning of the season. He had 9 points in week 1, playing 60% snaps and 12 personnel in a Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll ran offense. So if Michael Mayer is available right now on your team or on your waiver wire, or whatever it is, you need a tight end play. It is the third worst I like out of these three guys, but if those other guys are gone, this is a dart throw that could hit if you need a plug-and-play guy that could get a touchdown in a game here, because opportunity is king, and he's going to be out there. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That's the end of the episode. Hopefully that is 10 sleepers. I hope you guys enjoyed the content that can help you thrive in week 6 here if you need help, guys. Remember, those are sleeper, deep plays. I know I'm going to get a lot of questions of stardom over starter, like wide receiver 2s or high end guys. Sleeper plays if you need, they are covered in there. That's probably it for me today, guys. I will be live again 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'm going to dive into buy low, sell, or buy now wide receivers, buy now running backs, and I'll possibly throw some sells in there as well tomorrow. That's it for me today, guys. If you guys haven't tapped the thumbs up, hit that like on the way out, hit that subscription button, turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. And remember, if you have any questions, anything like that, make sure you drop them down below in the comments. I'll try to answer them all. If you haven't checked out the Guys FF Discord as well, it's pinned in the comments and in the description of the video. And always shout out to the sponsor, drafters.com. If you guys haven't signed up on there and you want to draft with me tomorrow and Saturday, I'll be live, today and tomorrow, Saturday, I'll be live doing some, best ball, DFS, pick'ems, everything like that. We'll go through them. Make sure you use promo code SLEAZ. It will double your initial deposit up to $100. That's it for me today, guys. I'll catch you guys either in the live stream tonight or tomorrow in the next episodes. Sleaze Bomb out. Have a good weekend, man.